Welcome back to Wise Man Company, everybody. I'm Ben, and today we're going to be looking at my precision rifle. I'm a novice when it comes to the long-range genre of shooting. I wanted to get into it for a long time, but just hadn't, and been putting it off. And finally, this year was the year. I took a long-range 1 course at Storm Mountain, which was amazing and a real eye-opener. A lot of stuff to learn in this subject, in this matter of long range or precision shooting. There's just tons of science, tons of body mechanics. Your equipment is obviously very important. And today we're going to look at what I used during that class and what I'll be using for probably a long time until I grow out of this or can outshoot this rifle. But it's probably not going to be anytime soon. So let's get right into it. The heart and soul of this gun is a Savage 10 FCP. Nothing really fancy. A lot of you would say out there that it's a budget rifle, and it is. It does have a lower price point, but I don't think it's going to sacrifice on your quality of shooting. This gun right here, obviously it's a little modified, but like I said, the barrel and action are Savage, straight from the factory. Will shoot a half-inch group at 100 yards, which is really great. And that's only if I'm doing my part. Obviously the shooter has to be doing their part, and I can't do that every time, but it's been pretty consistent. I used the Gorilla 165 grain, which is awesome. I did a little research before I selected that bullet. The Savages shoot the Gorilla ammo really well, and it was true for me as well. I mean, I was shooting really tight groups with the 165 308 from Gorilla, and I should have said this is a 308, but a lot of you probably already assumed that already. So let's get into it. What's the deal with this, and why did I choose some of the things I chose for it? I already told you guys that it's a Savage for the most part. I got this stock right here off TaxSwap. This is an HS Precision stock. For those of you that like used gear or are always looking for a deal, TaxSwap is a IG account on Instagram that only posts gear for sale. And I saw this stock come across on TaxSwap, jumped on it, and got it, and installed it. It's been great. HS Precision is known for quality, and this is true with this stock I have on here now. The camo on it's pretty cool. Didn't really care about that when I saw it. Just knew I wanted a different stock, something a little bit more ergonomic. That was more important to me. I knew that the stock that came with the gun was already free floated and aluminum bedded, but it was not very ergonomic. This HS Precision stock has a cheek riser on it. This is aftermarket. This was a Kydex cheek riser, but it also has a great palm swell. Get your hand in that position to give a good trigger press every time. It's not as light, but it's pretty close to the stock. Just a great pickup in my opinion. I got it at a used price, but it's been phenomenal. It is free floated. You can run a piece of paper down here, all that jazz. Yeah, this is not from the factory, and I gotta say it was a great pickup for the money. I paid about, I want to say just around 200 bucks for this HS Precision stock to install on here, which is pretty good in my mind. I don't see me changing it anytime soon. The cheek riser here obviously gives me a good cheek weld and gets me up to that solid eye relief, that solid eye level for my optic. It's just basically 2 bolts that go through the stock with knobs, threaded knobs on here to tighten it down once I have it in that level I want. At the end here, I do have a different brake from the factory. This just comes threaded with a thread protector. I threw a silencer code brake on here because I have an Omega can coming, and you'll see that in some of the footage. I ran the Omega can a few times on this gun, and whew, I tell you what, besides the sound, reduction in sound, running a can on a gun like this mitigates recoil and keeps your reticle on target way easier than if you didn't have it on there. Suppressors are great on every level, and I highly recommend getting one if you haven't already, or start the process to do so. So that's why I put this brake here on the end. Without the can on it, it's pretty obnoxious. Moving down here, I got a Harris Bipod. This Harris Bipod doesn't swivel or cant. It's just straight, solid, which has its pros and cons. It's hard to get it level on rocky terrain. You gotta adjust the legs accordingly to get yourself a good level shot, because you can't cant it. But on the other hand, a lot of those bipods that you can cant, sometimes they're too loose and you're flopping all around the place when you're trying to get a good steady shot. So it has some trade-offs. I know there are really good bipods out there. You can adjust the tension on them so they won't cant as easily. And if you're going to go that route, I highly recommend finding one that you can adjust that tension on the bipod so it doesn't cant as easily. Because you do want a rock solid foundation when you're pressing off a shot at, you know, greater distances. So, yep, Harris Bipod, known for quality, love it, haven't looked back from it. Moving back here, I have the base that came with the Savage. I think it's aluminum. Hasn't been a problem yet. It's a Picatinny top. I have 34mm rings on here, Badger Ordnance. Awesome rings, built like brick shithouses, great rings. And that leads us to the cherry on top, which is this Steiner optic. This thing is a great piece of glass, and a lot of the long range shooters out there will tell you, you know, your glass is just as important as the actual firearm. You know, you don't really want to skimp on your optic when you're stretching out to longer distances. Can you? Absolutely. During the long range 1 class at Storm Mountain, there was people running all sorts of optics, and they were doing fine. But for consistency and durability, the better glass pays for itself in the end. It was absolutely dumping rain the entire time at long range 1, and this thing didn't fog up, didn't get any water in it. We were dragging it around, slamming it in all sorts of different positions, in mud puddles, you name it. Didn't even care, kept going. It's an illuminated reticle as well. No loss of battery, no water inside the caps. Just a very rugged piece of glass, to say the least. This Steiner is a T5Xi. It's a 3 to 15 power. Which is more than enough magnification in my opinion. Some guys, you know, will say like, oh, I need like a 24x at least if I'm stretching out to 800. Sure, if that floats your boat. There was guys running straight 10 powers that were making hits just as consistently as everybody else. So I guess it just depends on what you want on your own physical eyesight as well. 3 to 15 was more than enough for me when I was stretching out to 800 yards. I actually left it just on 12x for the majority of the time. Didn't need anything more than that, honestly. So if you're looking for an optic and you think you need more than that, try some before you go invest in something that's, you know, the Hubble telescope. Reticle on this is what Steiner calls their SCR reticle, or the Horus H59. Great reticle. This is in Nils Mills. Crisp glass, clear glass. It almost feels like it's better. You have better vision in looking through here than you do with your own eyes. It's like seeing HD television for the first time, if you can remember what that was like. This Steiner optic did come with caps and a throw lever, which I thought was pretty cool. That's always a nice add-on. The turrets are very tactile. You can feel the clicks, you can hear the clicks, which I really liked because it gave me confidence when I was turning the dial. I actually knew, like, okay, that was 1, that was 2. I got good grip on these turrets. They're not too sharp, but you can definitely tell you're grabbing onto something when you touch them. Typical windage over here on the right, elevation up top. You have your parallax over here on the left-hand side, which is very important in long-range shooting, and along with your illumination. It goes up to 11 power, all the way down to 1 and off. MSRP on this T5Xi is around $2,300, but that's MSRP. You can find them for less, and honestly, they're worth every penny, in my opinion. Just a great optic. If you're just getting into the long-range game, I would definitely give these a look, and if you think you're going to stick with it for a little bit, I would put them up against pretty much anything that's out there on the market right now. But again, I haven't been doing this a long time, but I really liked it. I had some other people recommend it to me as well, who have been doing this for a longer period of time. So I gotta say I'm pretty happy with this Steiner T5Xi. Great piece of glass for the money. My recommendation for those of you curious about the long-range precision rifle genre of shooting is go try it out. Go, if you have the opportunity to shoot, over 300 yards or further at a buddy's, with a buddy somewhere, I'd highly recommend doing it. It's a very cool experience, and you can kind of wet your whistle, and see if you want to get into it. If you know you want to get into it and you're kind of budget-minded, this route right here, what I have in front of you, isn't the cheapest way to go by any means. I'm not saying that, but there are ways to do it. Like I said, the Savage MSRP on these is like $785 or something like that. You can find them used for $500, $400 sometimes on any given market. And you get yourself a decent piece of glass like a Vortex or something else, and you're in business. So it's definitely obtainable, it's doable, and get yourself some good training and you can see really quickly how much fun you can have. I personally think this is a totally different style of shooting. It's calculated, you have to be very patient. It can be more expensive than some of the other styles of shooting, but it's very fun and very addictive. People told me it was addictive before I got into it, and I was like, we'll see, because I'm not the most patient person in the world. But yeah, they're right. It's a ton of fun, and I would highly recommend trying it out. Guys, if you have any comments or questions about this package right here, leave them below. I'd love to hear from you. If you have tips for me, I'd love to hear them as well. Like I said, I'm new to this style of shooting, and I'd love to engage with you guys. If you guys like this video, go ahead and hit the like button and share with your buddies. Go check us out on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll see you on the next video.